How far would it go to get immediately good feelings? In a world where we can get everything with one click under 1 second, happiness can be bought instantly and everywhere. But are those new shoes, the fancy clothes, the new games or exciting makeup, the exquisite wine or fast car really giving us good feelings long term or not? Well, as soon as the dopamine spike crashes down, we begin again to hunt for more items or experiences which play roller coaster in our brains. Is hunting for those biochemicals just like a trend we try to catch up with, or does it lead to severe addiction problems? That's a good and important question, because when we need more and more, who tells us when it's enough? Or are we chasing more and more till we die? So in a world where everything can be bought and collected, is this really happiness, or are we victims of our own brain chemicals? Well, for me, I know this feeling of needing the next makeup or beauty item right now, or even worse. The ultimate kick I got was when this specific item I was longing for was at reduced price. So I even got multiples of them, thinking that I was intelligent and saving some money with this purchase. But this high was always only for a short time. So I bought again to get that happiness spike back. One day I began to realize what was happening. I was the victim of my own brain chemicals, where shopping was pushing them again and again inside of my brain. This was the moment where I began to realize that I had to change something immediately. So the first time I tried to not click on that buy button, and I felt the change immediately. It literally hit me hard. The longer I waited, the more tension I felt inside of me, until I couldn't hold it no much longer. So what I realized, that I needed to teach my neural system to wait and stay with the tension inside of me. I observed that while waiting, my brain fell into stress, telling me, what if this item doesn't exist anymore if I didn't buy it now? And I already blamed myself before even something happened. What if I would regret not buying it and have to live without it? So instead of getting good feelings, my brain went through an emotional roller coaster, but in a bad way. A thought came, so what if I was always running from those bad feelings and hiding them, where I actually never tried to get along with them, and that shopping was only a short-term solution, but was not solving the core of the real problem, my disability to cope with my feelings, with all of my feelings. But honestly, I never learned that before. No one told me how to handle my bad emotions. So how could I learn that? Well, when I look back into my life, there has always been these patterns in my family where no one was really talking about how to handle negative emotions. So I decided to change that and to not longer run away from that towards item that promised me happiness. But first I had to get more knowledge about how my brain works and how to reduce my shopping addiction. And then to focus on the emotions that I want to regulate. So first I set a financial limit per month, which I didn't wanna overdo. So the second thing was that I let the item while online shopping at least 3 days in the cart before I gave myself the allowance to click and buy them. And yes, I had to deal with the tension inside of me that arose. But with distracting myself, I overcame those feelings easier than I thought. And actually, something interesting happened. After 3 days, I kicked several items out of my cart, and I realized that I didn't really need them in first place. So this strategy was a game changer for me. But the next step was even more interesting to me. So how can we get good feelings without the need of materialism? Well, knowing that the way I think influences the way I feel somehow gives me hope. I just needed to figure out what to think that gives me the feeling of calmness, peace, and happiness. This is getting big now. Coming from a Christian background, my mom was always believing in God. And I found my path to God only 3 years ago. So I figured out that the thoughts I wanted to rely on must be big. And the only thought that came to my mind and that works for me is God's plan is better. God's plan is better. This sentence helped me and still does to trust into the present moment. That everything I do has a reason, and whatever happens, God has already worked it out for me long before. This shift of focus really did help me to get away from the fear of not getting the specific beauty item I so desperately needed to have. And it shifted the focus onto trust. That if this here was meant for me, it will come into my life someday. But let's be real, this method did not always work for me. Not always well, but it did. So step by step, I am overcoming those impulsive buyings and purchases. And although I'm trying really hard to overcome this shopping addiction, I sometimes still cannot resist. Nevertheless, I'm still trying and learning how to overcome that. And knowing that with repetition of the same new patterns in our brains, those pathways are getting stronger and stronger every time we're thinking them. And in better, also in worse, both ways, right? So I decided to use this knowledge as often as I can to get stronger and stronger in trust, in letting go, relying in God. And wanting to believe that everything works out for me helps to lean back, relax, and trust the process. So is buying per se bad? No, nevertheless, it's worth to check why you're buying and when you know the reason behind it. And if it's not coming out of fear or anxiety or out of lacking something, then go for it. This is what I told myself. Master my mind, shaping it and taking sometimes a step back. That's all I need to connect in trust again. Because I don't always want to be a victim of my bad habits. So the more I practice and thinking better thoughts, which can uplift me from within, the more good habits can be built. For me, this newer version of me honestly is better, healthier, cheaper, and more long-lasting than the other one. And in those 10% of falling back into an old trap of impulsive buying, I simply allow myself to shop what my heart really wants, and I'm fine with that. I hope this helped, and if this resonates with you, click now the subscribe and like button and answer my question in the comments. Thank you for clicking on this video and staying to the end. I love you and see you in the next one. Bye.